The NBA Finals will be officially underway, which means it's time for our NBA Finals breakdown. We're going through 5 categories to determine ourselves who we think will win. We're going to go over the superstars, the co-stars, the bench, the coach, and the X factor. So we'll go and start with the superstar. In this case, we already know it's Halliburton more or less versus SGA. We'll keep this one kind of quick. I think we're both leaning towards SGA at this point. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah,
You
no,
think
I'm
let's say
SGA all the way.
after everything we just said, not even 2 minutes ago about the USA versus world. So we'll keep that one quick. We're both on the SGA train just to save some time. Co-stars where it gets interesting because it depends who you think is the co-star. So Kelsey, who are you going to give? Because considering both these teams play such heavy team basketball outside of those top options, it's like who is the co-star? So Kelsey, who are you giving the co-star edge to, and who are you picking as the co-star?
Yeah, I had to think about this one for a minute. This was probably the hardest category for me to pick because I hate picking and choosing certain things like this.
Hmm.
I feel like you picked this exact reason for this exact reasons because
Well,
I'd
hold
go
on.
through a
It's been
conundrum.
3 years running now. The difference
I
is
know.
you
We've
have to
done
be
this
the
every
judge
year.
usually. You just actually have to make
Every
the
other year has
decision.
been easy though. This year is the
Because
hardest
you didn't have
one.
to make the pick. We had other people make the pick.
Yeah, so for me, I weighed this out and I chose Jalen Williams for the Thunder and I chose Pascal Siakam because of his current play for the Pacers. Those are my two co-stars. That's who I weighed against each other. And in that weighing, I took Jalen Williams. I think he is a better co-star because of how he can move the ball, push the ball, play defense, and match up. Do I think he has a good matchup in this one? No. But do I think he has a better matchup than Pascal Siakam? Probably. But yeah, it's to me, I just look at what he can do to make his superstar better is where I was weighing the co-star ranking. And I think Jalen Williams makes his superstar better, whereas Pascal Siakam doesn't necessarily make Halliburton better. He just looks really good, is what Siakam does. So, yeah, that's why I'm going Jalen Williams for me.
We have the same co-stars with Jalen Williams and Pascal Siakam. We have the same option there, so neither one of us tried to get too outrageous with that
Yes.
one. I'm taking the Pascal Siakam route though. I'm going to look at the finals experience. He's one of 2 players in this game that has NBA finals experience, the other being Alex Caruso. And
Mm-hmm.
by comparison, it's not even close. Pascal Siakam was a legit number 2 option for that Toronto Raptors team. He dropped 30 and 8 in that game 1 against the Warriors. Like he has proven it. And we see too, like he is kind of their half court offense when they aren't running, when they aren't playing like the Richmond Oilers from Coach Carter. We're gonna run. That's what we did in practice. We're gonna run. When it comes to a half court offense, he kind of is their half court offense. When it slows down, he's tough for smaller guys. He's quick for bigger guys, and he also, if he's closing out on a 3-point shooter, next thing you know, Tyrese gets the board and he's throwing a full court pass, and Pascal's out there somewhere, like he thinks he's Randy Moss or something. So, I think Jalen Williams is awesome. I think we had this conversation in like 365 days, I think it'd be a little bit different. I'm going to give Pascal Siakam the slight edge because I think they're very similar right now. And I'm going to take the slight edge towards the NBA Finals experience as the co-star and what he means for their half-court offense for a team that likes to not be in the half court as much as they can. Even after makes, they like to avoid any sort of half-court offense to the best of their abilities. He's the one factor in their half-court offense that seems to make that is as consistent as it gets. Will it? This matchup, we'll see. Chet's a little different than Cat, so we'll see how he matches up there. But I'll give Pascal Siakam a super slight edge. So we got superstar, co-star. We're looking at the bench now. We're going into the depths of each team. Both teams known surprisingly well for their depth. No shot at Tom Thibodeau there, but these teams are very opposite of the Knicks where they can each play 10, 11 deep sometimes. So where's the edge going to the bench?
Yeah, for me, this one was not even a question. I ran with the Pacers, and I don't run, but I ran with the Pacers for the better bench here. Let me just a couple names here. TJ McConnell, who I said at any other team would probably be their number 5, their point guard. Ben Shepherd, who's at times really good, at other times he's a great defensive player. Benedict Mathurin, who by the way was a starter last year prior to injury. Had it not been for Andrew Nemhard, he would still be starting. Obi Toppin, who, if he actually dresses, will play, and Thomas Bryant, who can still play pretty well. So yeah, that's a pretty good second 5. I like those options. Not that the second 5 for OKC isn't good. I just don't think they match up equally as well from firepower and defensive standpoints.
I am going to go the opposite way. I'm going to go with the Oklahoma City Thunder because I also look at Aaron Wiggins, Jalen Williams, Alice Caruso, Carson Wallace, Joe Isaiah. They have Kendrick Williams. They've played basically 12 deep throughout, and they're all hyenas on the defensive end. Like you don't get a break. You don't get a cone to walk in on occasion. They all absolutely swarm. They all absolutely run. I'm gonna give them the slight edge because I think Pacers bench is better offensively, like you mentioned. I think
Mm,
they are better offensively. I think what Oklahoma City's their bench can do defensively makes a little bit of a difference, and they complement well. Like you take out SGA and bring in SGA and Chet. Those guys with Jalen Williams running the show. Since you never take all five out at the same time, they're bringing a whole new five. There's always mix and match. You're getting J Dub with Alex Caruso. Good luck to that. Good luck to the perimeter guys on the edge. I think they match. So I'm gonna give a slight edge to the Thunder, but I do agree with you as far as if I need to get buckets, I do like the Pacers bench with Benedict Mathurin,
yeah.
etc. But I like the
I,
hyenas on the Thunder.
I think that's why I weighed the Pacers a little higher, is because, like you said, there's mix and match with everything. And every one of the guys I can bring in from the Pacers gives me offense. But they also aren't a turnstile defensively. And whereas, like, I feel like Halliburton's going to be out there pretty much guaranteed every single time. He maybe comes off the court for a couple minutes, and Nemhard and Nesmith run the offense, and it looks great still. And I think having Halliburton as their superstar, if you will, I don't know if he considers himself their superstar, but he is their superstar.
Their top guy.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes the bench for the Pacers more effective, is because you have a true point as your superstar. So I think that's what makes their bench more effective for me. And while I love everything about the Thunder in a lot of ways, that's one of the few things that I love about the Pacers.
If you combine both of their benches and just took like the best and
Oh,
made a starting five out of that one, that team could get to
stupid.
the play-in. That team could be a play-in team. Just using like the best bench players from both teams combined into a starting five.
That
Like
team's
you could,
better than the 10 seed in both conferences. Absolutely.
that team might be the Heat and the Kings and the Hawks. Like that team might be competing for an 8 seed.
Honestly, they might be a 7 seed or a 5 seed.
Well, let's not get hasty, but they might.
That's
You
a
never know.
possibility.
You never know. That's for sure. Next up, we're gonna go to the coaching ranks. So we got Mark Dagnall and Rick Carlisle. Where are we leaning on this one?
Man, I love Dagnall. I do think he's been, I think for the last 2 years, I've had him in Coach of the Year conversations. He didn't win either of my awards, but I think he was my second favorite both times. I think he's been a fantastic coach for what the Thunder have done. I just like Rick Carlisle better from a coaching X's and O's standpoint. I think this always goes back to the conversation I have about X's and O's and Joe's and Schmo's coaches. There are two different styles of coaching. And I think Dagnall, while he has some X's and O's expertise, I don't think he needs that as much on this Thunder team, because he's really coaching young players who need that Joe's and Schmo's type of coach. Whereas Rick Carlisle is a no BS. He's going to come in and he's going to tell you, we're running our system and we're going to run it every time. Halliburton does something stupid, he pulls Halliburton out. SGA does something stupid, Dagnall looks at him and says, don't do it again, dummy. Like, I think the coaching style of Rick Carlisle works better for their superstars than Dagnall's coaching style works better for his superstar. So for me, I'm going to go with Indy and Rick Carlisle.
Yeah, I'm going to keep mine short and sweet. I'm taking the same way. He has finals experience. It's been a long time, but he has finals experience beating the LeBron-led Miami Heat. Granted, they were kind of more the Dwayne Wade-led Miami Heat that year, but I digress. On the backs of Dirk Nowitzki and JJ Barea and Tyson Chandler. And some of the adjustments he made in that series were top-notch, and he always makes top-notch adjustments. He's awesome in Dallas. He's awesome in Indiana. He's just a winning coach. So I'm going to give him the edge there. Mark Dagnall's well on his way, but talking like 2 decades of experience that separated right now. Like check back in 2 years, and I might change my mind. But like right now,
Rick Carlisle has outcoached Eric Spoelstra, Greg Popovich, Phil Jackson, and countless other super head coaches. I could run down a list, but I would be here for hours running down the list of super coaches he has outcoached in his career. Whereas, no offense to Dagnall, he just hasn't gotten there yet. Again, like you said with Jalen Williams, ask me 365 days from now, my answer might be completely different.
Exactly. He's well on his way, and he might be the next one. I just think right now the experience plays. And so based on the look of it, we each are 2-2 right now. Interesting enough so that brings it down to the final stage is the team that has a better X factor. So who are you naming the X factor, and why do you think they are the better X factor? This is a good one because we get to make our choice from people we haven't talked about yet too. So You can't say the X factor is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander because he might get fouled 17 times. Doesn't count. We can't use the refs. Those are the only rules.
Well, good. I had neither of them chosen.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, we have talked about the guy I initially picked for my X Factor, and you touched on the reason he is my X Factor. So I'm not going to bring that up again. I'm going to pivot to my second X Factor and mention the first X Factor in doing so.
Well,
Miles Turner is my second X Factor. My first is Siakam, but Miles Turner is my second X Factor. And the reason why is because of the size and experience they have. Pascal Siakam is a matchup nightmare where he is long and lanky like Chet. He has the experience and strength to outmatch Chet. Miles Turner, while he also has a matchup with Hartenstein where physically speaking, maybe they're par for par, he has the experience and strength to take over when he needs to. And he can also stretch the floor, whereas Hartenstein is very much a down low center. And if Hartenstein's not in the court, who's matching up with Miles Turner? I don't know if you have somebody. If you put Chet on Miles, who do you put on Siakam? That's where my question always comes to. Does the other Jalen Williams come in and match up? I don't know. But for me, that's where my X factor is. I think the coaching conversation we just had applies to this as well. I think you talk about the true playoff experience and the true finals experience from Siakam, and then just the years of experience between Turner and Siakam for playing down low and taking advantage of smaller, thinner, younger players. They've done that their whole career now because they've had years of experience to do this. I just think that's going to be the X factor when it comes down to it.
Unplanned, but my X factor is actually Chet for almost the exact opposite reasons of what you said. Because I want to point one thing that really impressed me is after that game one in the Denver series where he missed those 2 free throws late that ended up costing him the game. For a young player like that, that could have wilted you. Like you had have caved in. Like that could have been a hard thing to bounce back from. He's played some of the best basketball of his life since then. In that Minnesota series, he was awesome at points. He's showed the ability to match up with those guys that look like, in theory, they should put a shoulder in his chest and collapse him because he's so damn skinny, like Julius Randle, like Jokic, like Aaron Gordon, like Rudy. No, not Rudy Gobert, but you get the idea of what I'm getting at.
I was never going to include Rudy in a conversation.
You get guys that physically look like they should just snap him in half with their shoulder blades. You mash up well with them, his ability off ball defense with that freakish pterodactyl arm wingspan. And on offense, he started putting the ball on the court and driving by these bigs that come out on him too. The ability, a lot of everything you said with Miles Turner kind of applies to him as well. And the way he has progressed as the playoffs have gone along, if he continues on that trajectory, he could be a very interesting X factor. And as you mentioned, maybe if Indiana wants to go small, they can go small with a 7'1" Chet as their small center, quote unquote. If they to match small, like when Indiana would do that, Siakam at the 5. They want to go huge. That you got him and Hartenstein. Like I think he could be the X factor if he's hitting his shot and he moves pretty well in space. So if they do go mismatch hunting, he's not a complete cone in space. He's matched up on the outside. We saw against Nikhil Alexander Walker, Jaden Daniels, and etc. Like he's not useless in space. You obviously don't want to, you don't want to bank on it. But when those cross matches happen, it's not like when they would get Luka in those cross matches, and then Timberwolves would do the big, oh nope, that's where we're going. At that point, it's like, okay, we got to run the offense and maybe this works. So I'm going to go in almost the exact same reasons with Miles Turner. But on the opposite end of it, I'm going to go with Chet because he could balance out those matchups. I think the Thunder have a really good chance to cause some chaos and maybe wrap this up quicker than most people would expect if he's able to win those matchups in the front court. But based on our thing, you got 3 check marks in favor of the Pacers. I got 3 in favor of the Thunder. Are you picking the Pacers to be the NBA champions in roughly 2 weeks' time? And if so, how many games?
Before I get there, I just want to touch one thing. Chet Holmgren gives up nearly 45 pounds to both Siakam and Miles Turner, and that's terrifying to me. I just want to throw that out there. It's 40 pounds to Siakam, maybe 37 if we're technical, and then 42 pounds to Miles Turner. And that's because they were nice and decided to cap Miles Turner at 250, which I know he weighs more than 250.
Yeah, there's kind of the same difference with Julius Randle, who's also 250.
Yeah, he's also 250. But
and his shoulders are the size of Chet's head.
But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there that it is a very interesting aspect, whereas Julius is a driving big, Miles Turner is a big who just happens to be able to drive.
Also throwing Jokic, who's listed at a generous 285 away. Like you said, that is a generous 285.
Yeah,
I know he's skinny Jokic now, but
I also think that's a difference though. The Jokic is a back to his back passing big. just by definition, like if we're going to give him a classification, whereas Miles Turner is still a back to the basket scoring big first. Like Jokic goes to set up the offense, whereas Turner goes to score. He's not the first option, so he is the second. When the ball gets to him, he needs to score. That's basically the Turner. That's my theory with that.
I want to be impressed if they put Miles Turner on the block because he is now pick and pop or pick and roll. I want to see them actually utilize him on the block besides just when the 4-foot guys on. I want to see him and Chet fighting the block.
We'll see.
As the 1990s basketball fan that I am, I want to see big men fight on the block again.
I think it would be hilarious to see. I would love to see
Hartenstein.
I'd love to see Hartenstein Turner, that matchup. I'd love to see Siakam and Chet outside and in. I think both conversations are a fantastic one.
Forget the superstar guards, the MVPs, the playoff darlings. Get them out of the way. Let us get our big man fight down low.
I don't care about free throw merchant. I don't care about Urkel out there. I don't care about all that. Give me big men basketball down low.
So on the left block, all the other 8 players sit on the right side of the court.
Exactly. But no, okay. Sorry. To answer your question though, as far as am I picking the Pacers to win? I wasn't until this conversation happened, until we started talking about the finals breakdown. And I talked myself into it when I started looking at the coaching and the X factors and the bench. And I talk about it every year. Your coaching matters, your bench matters, and the third option matters more often than not. Look at last year, Derek White, Drew Holiday. They were fantastic pieces in the reason why the Celtics won. This year, Siakam, Turner, they're fantastic options. Oh, by the way, Naismith and Nembhard are still there. I have a hard time looking past them. And I know the third option on the other side is equally as potentially good, but the fourth and fifth options are not. And I think that's where I look at the Pacers. I just think the depth of ability and scoring and being able to take over, you do have a solid 5-man option to take over this game. It could also be detrimental, but I'm picking the Pacers to win, and I'm going in 6 games for that reason.
All right, so you're following the same pick as the basketball playing Corgi, who also picked the Pacers in 6. So you know what, that might be good. That might be good mojo.
I need to go put a betting app up right now.
I'm going to take the opposite approach. I think there's a lot of things the Pacers do well, but I feel like the Thunder are a very good counter for it. And the Pacers, the teams they've played, they beat really good teams in the playoffs, but they're not really defensive teams necessarily. The Cavs, the Bucks, they don't play defense at all. It's Giannis save us, and if that doesn't work, they're cooked. It's been that way since Doc came in.
Their coach sucks enough that's the reason why.
Like they can't defend anybody anymore. The Cavs, even when Mobley and they were healthy, they were an okay defensive team. It was basically Evan Mobley being awesome and everybody else.
There you go.
They're all right. Like it was even when and that's when they were healthy. They weren't even healthy in that series for the most part too. And then we already know the Knicks aren't playing defense. We spent the first 20 minutes of the show complaining about their defense because Cat and Jalen Brunson are cones at any given moment. And the rest of them, give or take. Where the Thunder, that's the best defense in basketball, and it has been since day one. They throw 10 at you deep. I think that's going to cause a lot of mayhem, which makes it hard to run. It's going to be hard to run them out of the building. I think every game will be relatively close. I don't think the Thunder are going to run them out of the building, but they do the same thing the Pacers do, where they just randomly go on those random blitzes of like 12-0 runs before you can blink. The Thunder do that too. They do it by getting steals and clamping up, where the Pacers do it by you miss a shot and the ball's at the other end of the court in 2 seconds. Because Tyrese Halliburton's throwing bombs like 2018 Patrick Mahomes. So I think the Thunder do what they need to do just a little bit better. So I think they're going to win in 5, but it's going to be like every game's going to be relatively close, if that makes sense. It's going to be a competitive gentleman's sweep, which is a complete oxymoron. But I think they just do enough things better, and I think Shea's going to. It's not like Jalen Brunson where if his shot's not falling, he can't really contribute to the game. Shea's shot's not falling, he'll go get fouled and get his own shots one way or the other. He'll find his fouls. He'll give you 10 assists, which he did all of last series. He finds ways to get it done a little bit cleaner, and he's not a cone. They don't have any cones, really, which is the biggest thing. It's going to be hard to hunt. So I'm going to take the Thunder in a stupidly close 5-game series. It sounds like I'm being an asshole to Indiana, which I'm not. I just think they're so close, and when it comes to those close games, I'm going to give the Thunder the edge.
That's fair. By the way, clever nickname for Tyrese Halliburton I just thought of. I don't know if anybody in Indiana has said it yet, but Heartland Hallie.
That's much better than what the New York Knicks.
Yeah, we're not talking about what the fans have been. Well, I won't even say fans, but the haters from New York have been saying.
That's it. It's much better than the nickname they gave him.
New York fans already irritate me with sports. I don't need to go off on them again.
You know what? I support it. I think I like the Winter Soldier a little bit better for those who know, but you know what? That's a good one as well. Like he's got plenty of options, and I know how the series go. He might get even more.
Oh, I was gonna say Hollywood for the way he plays offense. It's like Showtime Lakers, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like that's probably been used before.
I say if he played for the Lakers, that basically he wouldn't be able to escape it. It'd be locked in. It'd be locked
Yeah.
in.
Oh, yeah. He would be Hollywood.